You know,
but he's not wrong. The whole world has become a casino.
Yeah, because he's making it a casino.
Well, he certainly has contributed, yes.
Contributed?
Well,
Bill,
you think Polymarket wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Donald Trump? I think it would anyway.
I'll tell you what, it would absolutely exist. Okay. And I want to know if there's any chance that you're not going to run, by the way, because I will put in a bet right now. Because that's the way the corruption works these days. It's right in your face. I don't want to see this soldier be the face of this problem. Of course, what he did is wrong. That's easy. You're making billion-dollar oil bets minutes before the president makes an announcement, and no one on the right says anything except Anna Paulina Luna and 2 or 3 others who should all be heroized for this, in my opinion.
Welcome to Political Crossfire, where we break down the fiercest political debates and examine the facts behind the headlines. Chris Cuomo and Bill Maher go head-to-head on Real Time, with Bill Maher in a sharp debate over crime, punishment, government corruption, prediction markets, congressional stock trading, and the death penalty. The conversation gets especially interesting when Cuomo pushes back on the idea that one soldier should become the face of a much bigger problem involving insider access, political influence, and lawmakers who still refuse to police themselves. Before we get into it, please do me a favor and subscribe to Political Crossfire. Now, let's break down this Chris Cuomo vs. Bill Maher debate and look at the strongest arguments from Real Time.
Governor Moore, what should the government's approach be to regulating prediction markets and preventing insider trading? Oh, I know why they asked this, because you just made a move on that, right?
I sure did, yeah. We just signed an executive order banning anyone in Maryland state government from doing any type of predictions market game. It's really for 2 reasons. One, specifically on the prediction markets, it actually is ridiculous. So, for example, if you look at the most recent polls that we have seen, we're at around 57% approval rating, one of the higher numbers for any governor. If you look at the prediction markets on the probability that I'll win re-election, it's coming in around 97%, right? So, what was keeping me or my family from saying, you know what, we have an idea. Let's put a $250,000 bet that I won't win re-election. And then I just basically tank it in. I stop going to work. I go to my debate and I start stripping naked.
That might backfire. I don't know.
And then I quit. And then someone else wins. And I would walk away with about $4 million.
So you made this executive move. Was there any pushback in the state from anybody?
I don't care.
I know, but was there?
I mean, listen,
who can defend it? I mean, who can you defend it?
No. I'm saying like someone in the government is like, but I wanted to do grifting bets.
But I have an idea.
My grift.
Because, I mean, it's crazy. And it's just like, it's ridiculous when you think about the type of grifting that goes on. And this was on the heels of a whole bunch of other stuff.
And yes, today, this was in the news. A soldier who was involved in the operation to get Maduro out of Venezuela, which was a success, by the way.
Yep.
Okay, we got to give success.
Yep.
Okay, he bet on it.
Yeah.
He won $400,000, and they asked Trump about it, and Trump said, "The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino."
No irony. No irony when he said it.
Because he used to have casino. But he's not wrong. The whole world has become a casino.
Yeah, because he's making it a casino.
Well, he certainly has contributed, yes.
Contributed?
Well,
Bill,
you think Polymarket wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Donald Trump? I think it would anyway.
I'll tell you what, it would absolutely exist. Okay. And I want to know if there's any chance that you're not going to run, by the way, because I will put in a bet right now. Because that's the way the corruption works these days. It's right in your face. I don't want to see this soldier be the face of this problem. Of course, what he did is wrong. That's easy. You're making billion-dollar oil bets minutes before the president makes an announcement, and no one on the right says anything except Anna Paulina Luna and 2 or 3 others who should all be heroized for this, in my opinion. The corruption is so in your face. Yes, what this cat did was wrong, okay? And he's going to suffer. But he should not be the face of the problem. And people in Congress who are yapping about him when they've said nothing about these other things are the worst. And when they're trading stocks and they won't even have a vote on the bill, they are the worst. They're the worst.
We could pass a law tomorrow. Congress Congress could pass a law tomorrow doing what you did. Right. They could pass a law tomorrow preventing themselves from trading stocks. They're not doing it. They're not even bound by the employment discrimination laws that they've passed for everyone else. And we don't hold them accountable. We're just like, oh, I guess Congress just puts out press releases and holds hearings, and we fight over gerrymandering. Like, put the pressure where it belongs, not on the courts of whether they're going to uphold or strike this down. That is a statutory question, which means it's up to Congress.
How many people, if you did a survey, would even know who the congressperson is? One guy applauded. I didn't even know what, I don't know if it was like, I do, or it was like, yeah, you're right, Bill. I don't know.
Well, their new approval rating is at 10%, and I would love to meet someone in the 10%. Who's like, yeah, they're crushing it out there.
It's them. It's them. That's who it is. It's them and the donors. You know, I mean, that's who it is.
All right. Panel, what does the panel think of the DOJ bringing back firing squads for executions? That's why we love overtime. It's just questions I would never ask. But this is what people want to know. People want to know. We're bringing back firing squads?
I think there is a great argument. First of all, it doesn't violate the 8th Amendment because we had versions of this at the founding.
It's better.
It's better. I actually think that what we have done, and we've done this in all parts of our society, we have sanitized our language. We have sanitized everything so that we don't actually understand that we are putting people to death by the government. Right? I actually think that's okay, but we shouldn't sanitize it. We should do a firing squad so that people know what we're doing.
Well, okay, if you're going to do it efficiently. A firing squad, they're dead in a second.
That's right.
What they do now is this chemical thing where they kind of just put you out. You know, it's the Nora Jones music is playing.
Close to it.
It's like a spot. Wait, really? And then half the time, the shit they put in you doesn't work.
It takes a really long time to put someone to death. We have people watching it.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Can I offer a different perspective?
Yes, please.
Just while we're all lining up to shoot people in the head.
I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, that's the way.
I think that there's an aspect of the death penalty that should matter, which is what is the social instruction? And I think that the reason they're doing this is that this administration is very embracing of brutality. He has a very misplaced sense of macho, this president. And, yeah, we're just going to shoot you in the head is some kind of attempt to be tough. And it's not tough. It's weak. And I think these kinds of instructions, you know, look, this is the same story for all of our families. My family came to this country because they thought it was a place that was going to be better, that it was beautiful for opportunity, where they would have a chance, where they wouldn't have to worry about the oppression they had at home. That's not what we are with these kinds of things. If you want the death penalty, fine. It doesn't work, okay? It doesn't deter crime.
Well, it deters that criminal.
It is, yeah, it does, but it gives an instruction that death is okay, that murder is okay, killing is okay. It's not murder technically, killing is okay. I think the social instruction matters. I think when you're saying, yeah, we'll just shoot you in the head, I think it cheapens something that should be the highest value.
Where are you on the death penalty? Where is it in Maryland, and where are you personally?
In Maryland, it's banned inside of Maryland. But I do think it is an important point, because when people are talking about the death penalty as an idea of a deterrence, the reality is it's not, right? There's no data that shows that this is a deterrence for how people are going to behave or how people are going to act. But it does create a bigger thing about how are we thinking about this value? How are we thinking about what it is that we hope for and what it is that we're aspiring to? And I think about it in context of this, right? When I first became the governor, we had an absolute violence crisis within our state. I mean, Baltimore City was averaging almost a homicide a day when I first became the governor. And I was very clear that we were going to have a different type of approach, that we made historic investments in local law enforcement. We made historic investments, and we made Maryland one of the only states that actually helps to fund the U.S. attorney out of balance sheet. So if a person commits a violent crime, particularly with a firearm, I'm going to have them handcuffed in 24 hours, and we're going to make sure that crime, especially if it is a firearm crime, we're going to help to make sure that goes federal. And if you look at the results, we've now seen how the violent crime rate in Maryland is down nearly 50%. It's the fastest drop in the entire country. The last time the homicide rate was this low in Baltimore City, I wasn't born yet. The reason I bring that up is this. We did not increase the severity of the punishment. We increased the probability. We made sure that you knew you wanted to get there and be violent in our communities. You want to make communities and families like mine less safe, or we're going to get you, and you're not going to get out. We did not have to increase and say like we're adding a death penalty to it, but we said you will be held to account, and it has worked better and faster than anywhere else in the entire country.
Well,
Speed and certainty are the two things that we know work against violent crime.
That's right.
and that's what I mean about being a Democrat who's able to talk about a subject like that, in a more centrist way. You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
And it also matters that he's a guy who signed up, okay, at 17 to have to make that kind of life or death decision. Because he wasn't a war correspondent. You know what I mean? Like, this is a real warrior that you got sitting next to you. And I think that matters, and I think it gives you a different perspective.
Wow, this debate suddenly gets a lot bigger than stock trading or the death penalty. Because underneath both arguments is the same question. Can people trust a system where the people making the rules sometimes seem to live by a completely different set of rules? That is why congressional stock trading makes people so angry. Members of Congress can sit in classified briefings, private meetings, and policy discussions that ordinary investors never get access to. Even if nobody can prove a specific trade was illegal, the appearance of an unfair advantage is enough to make the whole thing feel rigged. And once people start believing the game is rigged, trust disappears fast. The death penalty raises a different issue, but the same principle comes back again. How should government use its power? It is easy to make punishment sound tough on television. Firing squads, longer sentences, harsher penalties. But sounding tough is not the same thing as actually making people safer. What matters more in many cases is whether criminals believe they are going to get caught. That is a huge difference. If police solve cases faster, prosecutors move efficiently, and repeat violent offenders are actually held accountable, that can do far more for public safety than simply making punishment sound more brutal. And that is why Wes Moore's argument matters. You do not have to choose between being tough on crime and being smart about crime. You can support strong law enforcement, quicker prosecutions, focused policing, and real consequences without turning punishment into political theatre. The same goes for prevention. Youth programs, addiction treatment, community violence intervention, and targeted policing are not soft alternatives. They can work alongside law enforcement. That is how you reduce crime before it happens instead of only reacting after somebody gets hurt. And when the conversation turns to the death penalty, there is one fact that should make everyone slow down. Mistakes are permanent. More than 190 people sentenced to death in the United States have been exonerated since 1973. That should matter to everybody, left or right, because once an execution happens, there is no correcting the mistake. So the bigger takeaway is simple. Public safety should be judged by results. Are fewer people being killed? Are dangerous offenders being caught? Are communities actually safer? That matters far more than whether a policy sounds ruthless enough during a television debate. You do not have to glorify punishment to take violent crime seriously. A system can be firm, effective, and accountable at the same time. So what do you think? Do you agree that certainty of punishment matters more than making punishment more extreme, or do you think tougher penalties are still the better answer? Share your opinion below and subscribe to Political Crossfire for more political debates and analysis.